Italian verb conjugation. How to conjugate the auxiliary verbs
essere
and
avere.
The auxiliary verbs, which are also called linking verbs, are essential to every language. No action takes place with the auxiliary verbs. The auxiliary verbs are to be and to have. To be or not to be is one of the most famous lines ever written in the English language. But that phrase would not be possible if there were no verb to express the very idea that we exist. Think of how many times a day we say, I am, or he is, or we are, all forms of the English infinitive verb to be. And how would we express possession without the verb to have? Similarly, think of how many times a day we express to someone else what we do or do not have and what we need. At first, learning how to conjugate Italian auxiliary verbs may seem complicated to the English speaker, as the present tense forms all have irregular stems, although the endings are similar to the regular verb conjugations in the present tense. The easiest way to learn the auxiliary verbs is simply to memorize each form for each subject pronoun. As with the regular verbs, since the conjugated verb will be different for each subject pronoun, more often than not, subject pronouns are left out of the sentence in conversational Italian. The table to follow shows the order in which all subject pronouns will be listed when learning each verb form, with the technical names, first, second, third person, for each type of conjugation. At first, when learning to conjugate a verb, try to focus only on the io, tu, and noi forms, as these forms will be used the most in conversation. Here is our Italian subject pronoun chart. Let's go through it.
Io,
I, first person singular.
tu,
You familiar, second person singular.
lei,
You polite, third person singular.
lei, lui,
She, he, or it, third person singular.
noi,
We, first person plural.
voi,
You all, familiar, second person plural.
loro,
You all, polite, third person plural. This is not used in Italian very much today, so we will not use it here.
loro,
They, third person plural. In Italian, the verb
essere,
means to be.
essere,
Is characterized as an auxiliary or linking verb as it connects the subject in the beginning of the sentence with specific information at the end of the sentence. No action is described. Instead, with the verb
essere,
the subject can be thought of as one and the same as, or linked to, the information that follows. We will see how the use of the linking verb
essere,
requires the endings for the words that follow to match the gender and number of the subject. They are, after all, one and the same.
essere,
Is an ERE or second conjugation verb with endings similar to the other ERE verbs. However,
essere,
is an irregular verb with different stems for each conjugation, and all forms need to be memorized. But they should be easy to remember given the daily use you will get out of them. Here is our conjugation. Let's go through it.
essere,
To be.
io sono,
I am.
tu sei,
You, familiar, are.
lei, lei, lui è.
You polite are. She, he is.
Noi siamo.
We are.
Voi siete.
You all are.
Loro sono.
They are. In Italian, the verb
Avere,
means to have.
avere,
Is characterized as an auxiliary or linking verb as it connects the subject in the beginning of the sentence with specific information at the end of the sentence. No action is described. I have, you have, he, she has will be used often when conversing in Italian, and all forms of this verb should be memorized and readily available for use.
avere,
Is also used in important Italian phrases that describe a need, as well as in phrases that describe one's age.
avere,
Is an ERE or second conjugation verb with an irregular conjugation in all forms but the voi form. As
avere,
is an irregular verb with different stems for each conjugation, and in some cases different endings from the regular ERE verbs. All forms need to be memorized, but they should be easy to remember given the daily use you will get out of them. When pronouncing the different conjugations, remember that the letter H is always silent in Italian. Here is our verb chart. Let's go through it.
avere,
To have.
io ho,
I have.
tu hai,
You familiar have.
lei, lei, lui ha,
You polite have. She has. He has.
noi abbiamo,
We have.
voi avete,
You all have.
loro hanno.
They have. As a general guide to the pronunciation of verbs in Italian, remember that the stress will fall in the beginning of the word for the io, tu, and lei, lui forms. For
Essere,
and,
avere,
the stress will fall on the first, and sometimes only, syllable for the conjugated form. For the noi and voi forms, an additional syllable is created by combining the root with the first vowel of the new ending. The stress will change to the end of the word and will be at the second to the last syllable. Finally, for loro, the stress reverts back to its original location at the beginning of the word. The stressed syllables will be underlined for our examples. Let's go through our verb chart again and focus on pronunciation.
essere,
To be.
io sono,
I am.
tu sei,
You are.
lei, lei, lui è,
You polite are. She is. He is.
noi siamo,
We are.
voi siete,
You all are.
loro sono.
They are.
Avere,
To have.
io ho,
I have.
tu hai,
You familiar have.
lei, lei, lui ha,
You polite have. She has. He has.
noi abbiamo,
We have.
voi avete,
You all have.
loro hanno.
They have. Many Italian expressions of emotion or physical sensation use
Avere,
as an essential part of the phrase. For the proper translation in English, we would use the verb to be in these phrases instead. But we must learn to think in Italian if we want to speak in Italian. Here are some expressions that use
avere, avere fame,
to be hungry,
avere sete,
to be thirsty,
avere caldo,
to be warm,
avere freddo,
to be cold,
avere sonno,
to be sleepy,
avere bisogno di,
to need,
avere paura di,
to be afraid,
avere ragione,
to be right,
avere fretta,
to hurry,
avere voglia di.
to feel like. Here is the full conjugation of one of these expressions.
Avere fame. Io ho fame.
I am hungry.
Tu hai fame.
You are hungry.
Lei, lui ha fame.
You are hungry. She is hungry. He is hungry.
Noi abbiamo fame.
We are hungry.
Voi avete fame.
You all are hungry.
Loro hanno fame.
They are hungry. Now that you are familiar with the auxiliary verbs
Essere
and
avere,
we will go over the situations in which each is used. In general, the verb
essere,
is used to state a fact that does not change.
avere,
Will be used to refer to feelings or personal situations that can change, as well as to describe possession. It is also important for telling one's age. For example, to state who she is, our character from Conversational Italian for Travelers textbook, Caterina, can simply say,
io sono Caterina.
for I am Kathy, rather than
Io mi chiamo Caterina.
Caterina uses the verb
Essere,
to more clearly state who she is when she says,
sono italo-americana.
in the dialogue from Chapter 2 of our textbook. These are facts that will not change.
Essere,
Is also used in simple descriptive sentences to link subjects with additional factual or descriptive information. Let's go through some examples.
io sono Caterina.
I am Kathy.
Io sono italiana.
I am Italian.
Caterina è italo-americana.
Kathy is Italian-American.
Lui è uno studente.
He is a student.
Io sono in Italia.
I am in Italy.
Tu sei alto.
You are tall. Now, notice the examples on the previous slides under expressions that use avere. You will see that in many situations,
Avere,
is used to indicate how a person is feeling, hot, cold, hungry, etc.
avere,
Is also used to indicate what a person needs. It may sound awkward to us, but in Italian they say,
ho bisogno di una macchina.
or literally, I have need of a car, always including the word
Di,
for of in the phrase. In English, we would simply say, I need a car. And of course,
avere,
is used to indicate what things a person actually does possess, and to describe one's age. Let's look at some examples.
io ho caldo.
I am hot.
Io ho bisogno di una macchina.
I need a car.
Io ho una macchina.
I have a car.
Io ho 42 anni.
I have 42 years. Notice from our last example that Italians use the verb
Avere,
to express their age. If someone asks you your age in Italian, the question will use
avere. Quanti anni hai?
how old are you? Familiar?
Quanti anni ha?
How old are you? Polite. The answer will also use
avere. Ho 22 anni.
I am 22 years old. To ask the age of someone you know in Italian, use
Avere. Quanti anni ha?
how old is she? How old is he? The answer will also use
Avere. Ha un anno.
she is 1 year old. He is 1 year old.
Ha 22 anni.
She is 22 years old. He is 22 years old. Here is our summary chart of the verbs we have just learned. Let's go through them one more time.
Essere.
To be,
Io sono. Tu sei. Lei, lui è. Noi siamo. Voi siete. Loro sono. Avere.
to have,
Io ho. Tu hai. Lei, lui ha. Noi abbiamo. Voi avete. Loro hanno.
The same ideas are conveyed in different ways in different languages, which is often a reflection of the culture of. This is what makes learning a language interesting. So, there will not always be a one-to-one correspondence when translating English verbs into Italian. The take-home lesson: to speak in Italian, we must learn how to think in Italian.